Hi, Kimberly here from Make Me a PT. Brill. I'm just going to go through with you how to calculate the BMI. I know sometimes when we kind of look at the BMI, we think, what the heck does that even mean by times itself by itself, times square? So I'm going to break it down to make it as simple as possible. So during your level 2 and 3, you gym instructor and personal training qualification, during your consultation, you need to basically let's have a little look. You need to complete two health screening that is appropriate for your client. So you might not even need to do BMI, but it's really good that you understand how to have a look at the BMI and be able to do it and do it for one of your clients going forward, whether you decide to use it or not. We're really quite fortunate that down at our studio we have an embody machine. So a lot of our screenings that we do are pictures, measurements, and the embody. But you might need to be able to show that you can work out someone's BMI. And I'm going to help you do it, make it as easy, as simple as possible. You can literally write it down, you can do it for yourself. Um, so yeah, the reason why you technically use a BMI for one of your clients would be it could help with like weight loss. It could be to have a look at the BMI, use the BMI as the baseline and things like that as well. So it could help with health related goals like reduce the risk of diabetes, things like that. But I know that with my learners, when we're like, do you know how to do the BMI and how to write it out? And they're like, no, it confuses me. So we've come up with the most simplest form as you can imagine. So with those, as you know, you get cheat sheets and we break it down to make it as simple as possible. Okay. So with the BMI, the only thing with the BMI, it doesn't consider like someone's BMI who's like a bodybuilder or something. The BMI could be really high because it doesn't really take into consideration like muscle mass and things like that. It literally just does take into consideration the height and the weight. Okay. So here I've wrote, for example, the height of an average female is 5'4", okay? And a healthy BMI range is 18.5 to 24.9, okay? So for example, if we have a lady and write it down, it just makes it a little bit more easy. So use yourself as an example. So if you know what your weight is, so if you just write your weight down for me, I'm going to do it along with you because when you write things down, it just makes it easier to digest. I'm writing it down with you. Yeah, so the average weight is 67 kg and the average height is 5'4". Okay, so 5'4", we need to figure out what that is in meters. So whatever height your client is, or whatever you're doing this calculation from, you need to figure out what their height is in meters. So for example, 5'4" in meters is 1.64 meters. Okay, that's the first thing that we need to figure out is what their weight is in kilograms, and then we need to figure out what their height is in meters. Okay, so step two, we've already figured out what the height is in meters. So the height in meters, if you can see here, is 1.64, and then during the calculation, it's times squared. Times squared basically means times itself by itself. So 1.64 times 1.64. So let's do it. Old school calculator. 1.64 times itself by 1.64. There you go. So you've got the calculation there. So that is 2.69. And then what we have to do then is figure out what their weight is. So they've already told us what their weight is. So the weight is 67 kg. Divide it. So then we're going to divide by this number here. So number step one. So it's the weight here, which is 67. We're going to divide it by the height times height, which is 2.69. So let's do it. So the weight is 67 kg. Then we're going to divide it by the height, which is 2.69, equals, there we go. So we've got the BMI score, which is 24.9. Okay, so perfect. So then if we scroll down, it literally tells you what is classed as underweight, healthy weight, overweight, obese, severely obese, and morbidly obese. I can't say the word. So that is a really, really easy calculation that you can do, and it's really good because it you can do it on absolutely anyone, as easy as that, as simple as that. But we've got to remember that there are limitations with the BMI because it doesn't take into considerations like the muscle mass, the body fat percentage. It doesn't really give you a really clear overview, but it is a really good way if you want. It's a starting point for someone who go, right, my BMI is this, I want to get it down to this. But don't forget, it isn't going to be for everyone, but it's a really good tool as a baseline for someone who just wants to lower their BMI or be in a healthy BMI. And again, it's great for someone who isn't like a bodybuilder or anything like that, because sometimes BMI is a BMI is going to take into consideration not going to take into consideration their muscle mass, so it's not going to be necessarily in sync, but it is a really good tool to start off. But hopefully I've made that as simple as possible. So it's figure out here again, take a little, we'll go run through it one more time. So you're going to figure out what the weight is. Okay, so the weight in kg, then we find out what their height is in meters. So we've got the number here, and then the next step, what we have to do is the height in meters, which when you hear times squared, it basically means you times itself by itself. So then we figured out this number, and then step 2, we literally get their weight, we divide it by this number that we have times it itself by, and then we can figure out what their BMI is. So hopefully you can go and try it now. Go and literally try it on yourself. Go try it with someone who's in the same room, or just try it and see if you get it. And if you've got any more questions or you need any more help with the BMI, give us a quick shout, and I look forward to helping you and getting more videos for you.